Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy Crispy Daniels, and welcome to another episode of ShowNTalk. So, if you haven't subscribed to me yet, check me out on YouTube, World Rule Talk. Check me out on Facebook, Crispy Daniels, and definitely check me out on IG, World Rule Talk. So, today, this morning, my dog wakes me up, right? So we decided I decided to get up because he had to go outside and do his business. So this was like seven something in the morning. So I take him outside to do what he has to do. Then we come back in. And I was gonna go back to sleep, but then I decided not to because once I'm up most of the time, I'm up. Now I can't go back to sleep. So I go upstairs, the dog, he lays down, and I turn on Peacock because I haven't been on the Peacock app in a while. You know what I'm saying? So I figured, maybe there's something new on there because for the longest time, Peacock had the same stuff on there. But I decided to go ahead and check it out to see if they put anything new on there. And sure enough, they did. So y'all remember the movie Plane, right? That movie where the prisoner is aboard the plane. I guess he's being transported or whatever. But then this is like a hostage situation or something that takes over the aircraft. I'm not sure how it goes down because I haven't seen it and I really want to watch it, but then the prisoner winds up helping out the main protagonist character. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm definitely gonna watch that. But that's not the movie we came here to talk about. It was another movie that I came across on Peacock, and that movie was called The Woman. So I read the little synopsis and everything. And then, cause you know how like you'll let the cursor sit there on the movie, and then it'll start playing clips from the movie. That's what kind of got my attention. You know what I'm saying? So I decided to go ahead and watch that movie instead because I'm thinking I don't want to watch Plane. It's too early in the morning because I may fall back to sleep laying on the couch. So I decided to watch something else just in case that happened. But when it came to this movie, that was not the case. So this movie, yo, this movie right here kept my attention the entire time because it's one of those movies where, you think the family is like an everyday, average, run of the mill family, but it's not, especially due to the father. So this guy is a lawyer, right? But he's also a hunter. So he goes out into the woods on his spare time to go hunting or whatever. And he comes across this this lady. She's like a feral lady. You know what I'm saying? Feral woman out in the woods. Because in the beginning, you see this baby who appears to be abandoned out in the woods and is surrounded by wolves and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So it turns out that this lady was raised by wolves. And so when he sees this lady doing her thing or whatever, hunting, like hunting for fish and all that, or trying to catch fish and everything and eating it raw, and you know what I'm saying, just doing her everyday thing out in the woods. I think he was going to shoot her at first, but then the lady almost spotted him, so he turns back and he leaves. And so he gets his family together to go out into this shed outside the house. And so he wants his family to help him move stuff around because, because like in the beginning, I wasn't really listening like that because I had my attention half on the movie and I was on Facebook at the same time. But he goes back out to the woods not long after that and he comes across that woman again. But this time he kidnaps her and he ties her up in the shed and he brings his family back out there to tell everybody what their duties are going to be with her because after he brought her back he tried to look her over, you know what I'm saying, and he was like inspecting her for whatever, and he started looking at her teeth, and then she had bit down on his finger, his ring finger, and she completely bit it off, started chewing on it, and ate it like it was nothing. And the part that kind of had me mystified was, okay, yeah, this dude was seemingly in pain, but at the same time, it appeared that it wasn't really that much of a big deal to him because he did knock her ass out. He hit her 3 times. You know what I'm saying? And so later on, you know, the mother, because the mom, the mother or his wife, she didn't, at first, she didn't really want anything to do with him doing what he was doing with this woman tied up in a shed. So, but then she started coming around and just started doing everything he asked her to do. Now, this dude was definitely a woman beater. He hit his wife more than one time. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude was a straight dickhead, yo. I'm talking about the husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was a straight, like, just a straight asshat. You know what I mean? And his son, like the little boy in this movie, his son was a certified little bastard. And I'm going to tell you why. So, again, everybody had their duties. They tried to feed the woman oatmeal, but she didn't want it. Because, of course, she's used to eating raw meat and stuff like that. And so, the only one in the family who had sense enough not to participate in this stuff was the daughter. Because at first, like I said before, right, the daughter, she was acting a little weird. You know what I'm saying? Like she was acting a little off, like she didn't want to participate and in nothing at school. Like she was staying to herself with the headphones on, wearing extra large clothing. And her teacher was, trying to figure out what was going on. But she did put two and two together eventually. And then we'll get to that part too, when the teacher showed up at the house to talk to the father and tell him what she thinks is happening to his daughter. So, there was one scene where the husband got out of bed, right? The lady's husband, and he snuck out of bed and he went to the shed. Now, I seen this coming from the jump, from the start, based on the way this dude was acting. You know what I'm saying? So, he goes into the shed, and the son, he gets out of bed too. But he doesn't go into the shed. Like, he peeks through the little hole that, he created to look through to see what was going on. And so he sees, you know, his dad messing with the woman. You know what I mean? And so he runs back to the house to get back into his bed. And then the husband, he does the same thing. And the next day, you know what I'm saying? Well, not the next day, but I think it was the next day. I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not sure how long this movie or how many days this movie took place in. You know what I'm saying? So there was one scene where the son decides to go out to the shed when nobody was around. You know what I'm saying? Or everybody was in the house doing it, doing their own thing. So he grabs a cookie off the table and he takes these tweezers and he goes out to the shed. And so when he goes out there, he tries to feed the lady the cookie, but the lady snaps at him. You know what I'm saying? And so at first I thought he was pulling out the lady's teeth based on the way he was using the tweezers, because you heard screaming from the house. So the daughter gets up and she runs outside and she runs towards the shed to see what was going on. And the boy comes out the shed. Now, this is where the movie gets super crazy right here, right? So when the husband comes home from work, everybody else is sitting around the table because his wife wants him to talk to his son about what he did. So come to find out, right? The little boy was out there touching on the lady, just filling her up and everything while he was messing with himself. You know what I'm saying? But the dad, instead of punishing him, he starts arguing with his wife, talking about boys will be boys and this and that. You know what I'm saying? So there's no consequence to what he did. And so the wife gets into her husband's face and tells him that she wants a divorce. She wants to leave because I believe what it is, that wasn't really her son. That might have just been her stepson. And then the other two girls, the older girl and the little girl was her daughters. So she's disgusted by the whole thing. But the husband, you know what I'm saying, after he heard that she wants a divorce, he winds up beating her ass again in front of the kids. The daughter, you know what I'm saying, she was shocked, but the son, he had no kind of emotion at all to the whole thing. So after that, you know what I'm saying, after, the daughter's trying to help her mother off the floor, shows up to the daughter's teacher shows up at the house. And this is where, you know what I'm saying, my suspicions came in at about the girl, my suspicions, you know what I'm saying? So come to find out, when they invited, because the girl didn't want her teacher to come into the house because of what's going on. She was basically trying to save the teacher's life by trying to push her away, but the teacher was being very adamant about coming in. So the father comes to the door, invites the teacher in, and then they have a talk, you know what I'm saying, about her, you know what I'm saying, because the teacher told her dad that, she's wearing extra large clothes. She has to go to the bathroom every so often. It doesn't participate in stuff. So the teacher basically told her father that she thinks the girl's pregnant. And so the girl looks up and denies the whole thing. But I thought she was too. You know what I'm saying? So the dad, he starts acting weird and he starts questioning the teacher, like bombarding her with all kinds of questions and then making suggestions about him that she didn't even, you know, that things that she didn't even say or even cross her mind. And then he gets upset because of stuff that she didn't say, but maybe she would have said or whatever. So he winds up slapping the shit out the teacher, knocking her out. And then they tie the teacher up. Now, I thought they was going to take the teacher to the shed to feed her to the woman that's tied up. But that wasn't the case. Cause it was another building outside that, they had their dogs in or whatever. So they took her there. And then they had threw the teacher in the pen with the dogs. But they like kept her far enough just so the dogs couldn't reach her. Like they were basically, like torturing this woman. And out of nowhere, from like this hiding place in the back of the pen, this other woman comes out. So it turns out they had another woman that was feral in there. Or she might have been in there so long she started acting like a dog. Because she was definitely acting like a dog. So this woman starts attacking the teacher because she grabbed the teacher by her neck and ripped off part of her neck. So she starts biting on the teacher's legs and everything else. And so the woman, you know what I'm saying, had her mom sitting at the table. Her mom was just coming to the girl, you know what I'm saying? So the girl, she, well, the girl was outside, trying to beg. At first, she was outside trying to beg the father not to, kill the teacher or whatever. And so the dad, he just wasn't listening anymore. Like at this point, you knew he was just a straight scumbag at this point. You know what I'm saying? Right along with the son. Now, this is where I want to come in with the son at. So while the teacher was outside trying to beg for her life or whatever, and beg the father to leave the girl alone, the son starts slapping the teacher with a stick. You know what I'm saying? This is before they put her in the pen with the dogs and everything. So the son was just as much of a participant as the father was to this whole situation. And then the girl runs back to the house, right? No, before she goes back to the house, she goes into the no, she runs back to the house. She wakes her mother, and then she goes to the shed. You know what I'm saying? The other shed out back to where that woman was tied up at, and she frees the woman. So I'm thinking she's doing all this to get the woman to go, straight for the dad or whatever, because that woman wanted to rip that dad's ass. You know what I'm saying? But instead, what happened was the mother came outside before the woman came out of the shed. And the second the woman seen the mother, she attacked the mother and just ripped her face all to shreds, killing her instantly. You know what I'm saying? So after she did that, she grabs this 2x4 and then she heads to the other building where the boy and the father was, watching the teacher get mauled by this other woman, this other cannibalistic woman. And so the father sends the son away to grab something, and then the shed door opens, and it's that woman. You know what I'm saying? So she takes the son. Now, this is why I said the movie had no mercy. She takes the boy and starts just hacking away on his body with the 2x4 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then she rips his, like, she hacks away and then basically is just ripping him in half with the 2x4. And so the son is dead pretty much, just laying there dead. And then the father, he tries to get his shotgun, but it was too late. The woman grabs him and just dug into his chest. I believe she ripped it. She ripped out his intestines, and I think she ripped his heart out. I'm not for certain, but she ripped something out. You know what I'm saying? Just all kinds of cartilage and whatnot, and she bit into it. And then the father, he died instantly. So when the woman went back outside, that other woman, the one that was acting like a dog, the Pharaoh woman, the other Pharaoh woman came out, and the woman gave her what was left of the dude's guts and shit. You know what I'm saying? And then the girl runs back to the house to get her little sister because they were trying to get out of there before the woman got to the house because the woman knew that the girl went back to the house. So when they came out, the woman, they were face to face with the woman. The little girl wasn't scared at all. You know what I'm saying? So the woman grabs the little girl by the hand and walks off with her. So my thing is, I'm thinking that maybe she's trying to, raise this little girl, but the movie goes off after that. So there is a post-credit scene where it's like everything is stop motion and the little girl's on this boat and she ends up on this island. But it's like stop motion, you know what I'm saying? And that's the part that kind of had me scratching my head. Are they talking about doing a sequel with the little girl or what? You know what I mean? Because I'm not sure what time period this movie was based in because I really didn't even see any cell phones like that. You know what I'm saying? Probably not at all. Because like I said, I was half paying attention at the beginning. But, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. They may do a sequel. If they do a sequel, I'll definitely watch it. This movie was pretty brutal. Like I said, though, if you haven't seen it, and if you don't have a strong stomach, don't watch it while you eat. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, if you're into horror movies like this, definitely give it a watch. And if I got to give this movie a score, I would definitely give it a. Trying to think. It's kind of hard for this one. It was a good movie. It was, but the acting was some of the acting was a little mediocre. I will say that. But other than that, but because of that though, you know what I'm saying, I have to give the movie I'm gonna give it I say 8, maybe an 8 out of 10. That's just my opinion though. Y'all might feel differently after watching it, but an 8 out of 10 will work for me. So again, check it out. It's called The Woman. It's on Peacock. But that's it for this review, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, peace.
The feeling is mutual. Come in, take a seat, share your thoughts with each, and preach it when you speak, so we can share kinetic energy throughout the brainwaves. Keep us balanced out and all on the same stage.